guess is, and that's on my chest. Miss Spivey is the best, and I can't take credit, I just happen to be blessed. I got a message to share, listen if you dare. Don't follow the shadows, look up and see clear. I swear it's like Plato's allegory of the cave. How can I free people who choose to be slaves? I try until they put me in the grave. I promise the world I save. I'm focused.
So let's talk about sex. Oh, Mom, Dad, don't watch this one.
Terrible.
We want to talk about sex from the female's perspective. I have Kwame Hall, Patrice Williams on the set, and we all have very different views. This should be an interesting conversation. So let's just jump right on into it. First thing, what do we want to say? Sexual identity and identifying ourselves, because typically, usually the world, the media, men want to tell us what we should do, what's okay to do with our bodies. But how do women identify themselves?
I think that we just identify ourselves, well, we should anyway, by what it is that we want, or how do we want to carry it when it comes to that aspect. I mean, you should never let another gender, they don't know what you're going through, you know, to tell you what is acceptable and what's not. Because
of course then they have the, you know, if a man does it, it's okay. If a woman does it, she's
labeled.
Yeah, labeled to be so and so and so. But I mean, what is that? Is there a reality? Because okay, and Patrice and I had a conversation on Twitter about this type of thing. Is that what is the line? You know what I mean? Because sometimes people feel like, okay, if she wants to just have sex, then she obviously she's going through something. She's crazy. You know, women not supposed to want to do that. But as for the woman, she could just feel like she's free. She's liberating herself. She's not going to be controlled by this thing.
Pretty much when women weren't allowed to work and were just forced to stay home and barefoot and pregnant, our only worth was sex. The only thing we had of value was, you know, we didn't have sex with anyone else. That's all we could bring to the table. We didn't have, we weren't allowed to have personalities. We weren't allowed to hold jobs or bring in income. We weren't allowed to even discuss politics. We were just supposed to be pretty trophy women who, you know, only gave up their sex to their man.
And take care of our kids.
Now that we have personality, sense of humor, we produce our own shows, we write books, we don't need to value ourselves with our vagina, with sex. We have more going on for us than being chaste and holding that for our man. And I think the biggest thing that probably bothers me the most is that no matter how successful a woman is, it still comes down to sex. In the end, she could make 3 times more than her man. But if a guy who doesn't even have a job or is waka flocka, call you, you know, a whore, women feel bad. Oh, I'm not that. I mean, it's really disheartening to see us still value ourselves based on sex after all we've done and accomplished.
Well, is there a line though? Should there be a certain way? Okay, now we're not saying that, you know, you should just go out and just be going crazy and wild, but at the same time, is it necessary for us to, you know, keep our legs tight and everybody stay away? Like, where's the line? You know what I mean?
I would say personally there could be a line, but as far as society or how people look at you, no. When you talked about women who have sex and they feel, why can't they just feel liberated? Why do people always think that it's a problem? You know, something going on with them. It may just be that when they're in their normal state, they're trying to please everybody. You know, you want to maintain this certain image. I don't want people to think I'm a hoe. I don't want them to call me that. And then when you're going through something, they could be going through something, and they're just acting out as they normally would want to. You know, they just don't care at the moment. So it's not saying that they wouldn't normally want to be like that, but it's just that we're looked at different. It's a double standard when it comes to men and women in that aspect.
And then Patrice said something on Twitter too. She said, I'm not going to be, all the guys are having fun. I'm not going to just be sitting around, you know. you know, because they're doing them. They're doing them. I mean, you know, I didn't preface this discussion at all. I didn't say, but you know, the truth is they are doing what they want to do. So we could sit here.
No regard to our feelings.
At all. So we could sit here and say, you know, women should not do this and should not do that. But the men are doing it. And they're doing it with women. So somewhere along, somebody's getting something, got it going on, right?
This is the thing I don't understand. men always say they will only deal with this type of woman or do that type of woman, but then when they talk to somebody else, which is usually another man, they're bragging on what they did and this and that. They would never want their woman to be what's so-called a hoe, but yet they sleep with these so-called
hoes. They're the
hoes.
ones that they seem to be drawn to.
Exactly.
I see that a lot.
It's just that they're easy. They're easy, and that's what it is. They don't want the person that they're committed to, or the person that they have to be seen with, or have children with, or a family with, to be portrayed as easy. Because if they're easy, anybody can get them.
What it boils down to is what people think in the end. Men won't, quote unquote, won't marry a quote unquote whore because you never know what a woman has done in her past. Neither do we know what a man has done. So a woman can come to you and say, oh, I'm this and I'm that, but be something completely different. Or she can be open about her sexuality, and men will assume that she's a roller, you know, for lack of a better term. But when it comes down to is what people think. And the reason why a man won't, quote unquote, won't wife up a quote unquote hoe is because he's concerned with what his friends or other people think, no matter how happy she makes him. I mean, one of my favorite songs is T.I.'s Freak Though. And the whole song is basically like, you know, my boys say you shouldn't get with her. You know, she done been with everybody in the hood, but he like, forget what they saying. I love this girl and I'm gonna be with her. If we can have a lot of more of that thinking, which is, you know, it takes a secure man to date a woman who may or may not have a reputation. The same with women. Women care about a reputation because they don't want, our self-esteem comes from outwardly so much. It's just, you know.
Well, you know, I think that I can deal with a man who has had a reputation if he can show that he's not going to go down that path anymore. Like, I didn't want to get into this until a little bit later, but what about the cheating man? Like, how can women, how can we not accept it, but how can we understand that men are sexual beings? You know what I mean? Like, I almost want to...
Scratch that. Everybody. We all are.
Sorry.
Sexual
Maybe
beings.
not all of us.
Well, I'm just saying that it's not just down to one gender. I think it's equal.
Yeah. I think it depends on your experience. Some of us have had great experiences, which makes us enjoy it more. And some of us have never had the great experience, and we've only had it one way, so we assume that's how it always is. So that's when it becomes not important, or that's when you're like, well, I don't need to X, Y, and Z. I'm saving this just for this man.
Yeah, you're trying to figure out why everybody else.
That's my problem. I don't think I've had this great experience. Yeah. I haven't.
Usually when you do, that's when you become
liberated.
When you
change.
That's when your mind frame changes. When it comes to sex, you're like, okay, now I can see what all the hoopla was about, you know, because everybody, if it felt like this every time, why would I just keep it to myself? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
After you feel that good.
Because that's my like I said, we all have very different points of views, and I am very like, But I haven't had that. I will admit I have not had that wonderful experience.
I will admit.
So I'm just like, you know.
I was just like you.
I can hold it out because it's all the same to me. I haven't met or seen anything different.
I used to be like that.
See, I can understand that because if you feel like, well, dang, I might as well. I mean, what am I? Okay, well, no, I ain't pressed to do that because I'm going to, you know, I'm doing all of this for you, and then you're going to give me that. You know, why should I be very enthused or, you know, so eager to do it?
Let's just do something else.
Yeah, let's just do something else. So that's when it becomes, you know, a non-factor versus, in my opinion, versus the people who have had it great. And then there's some people who have had it great and they're just like, you know, I'm at a time in my life where I just want to really hold out for that right person. And again, no man, if there is one, I would love to know who he is, but men don't do that. They don't say, well, I'm gonna wait until the right girl comes along.
I know one person that did that.
And we have almost the same salaries. We can buy our own homes. What do we, you know, if we don't even necessarily need them to fix our cars, we can go to Jiffy Lube. So
we take out our own trash.
Right. So my thing is, we're on the same level now. So there's no need to value ourselves based on our sexual partners, how much sex we've had, or when we give it up.
Okay, so we're going to take a break for a moment, but then I want to talk about, when is it too early to give it up when you're dating? Is making them wait too bad? We'll be right back.